I forgot. All right. So to come to the thesis webpage, I hope everybody knows, but if they don't, there is a shortcut URL. So for thesis, it's www.tamuc.edu.thesis. The same thing for dissertation, but it's / dissertation rather than thesis, which of course makes sense. You'll see an introductory paragraphs, and they have some important information for you to pay attention to. For instance, the template. We require that all papers, proposals, and finals follow this template. And the template is a Word document. Can anybody see this template I'm showing? Is that showing?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ballinger. In the template, you will see there are comments that will walk you through. A good way to read this is to go to review and let me find where it says there. I think it is show markup. Oh, I turned it off. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because this is, well, in spite of that, you can always click on the comments and they walk you through on how to format and how to use this template. It gives you instructions on finding the left ruler bar and how to align your name or different lines with those markers we give you. So again, very important that you follow the template, both at the proposal and final stage. And that is on this landing page for thesis and for dissertation. Also, there is a formatting guide. This is provided to give you a more in-depth view of what we require for formatting. It tells you how the document is to be arranged, how things should be formatted, specifically like subheadings, figures and tables, what to do when you have a long table or a long figure that runs more than one page. It also provides examples. And I wanted to show you, there are two appendices. The first one is a sample vita. And the second one is some examples of figures and tables. So you can see when I refer to alignment or spacing, this will give you something to go by. And I will usually in my checklist refer to the examples I give in the appendices. Okay. Another important document in this landing page is the submission guide. As I said, it's been updated for the new digital process, and it gives you what to expect, especially for faculty and committee members. This will be important for you to be familiar with as well. For instance, when committee members receive a submission, a proposal or final, they're going to have a workflow email. There's either going to be a Laserfish or workflow email. Advisors and administrators get the Laserfish. This is just how it works out. It's not for any reason. And committee members get workflow. So when the committee member gets a workflow email, they can either select this web link or this one. Sometimes one link won't work for reasons, maybe the PC you're using, or if you're using the Mac. So if one does not work, try the other one. It's an alternate. And to view the documents, this will take you to a web link that you log into, and then you will review the documents that are attached inside. And this is where the students' uploaded documents will be available for, and this is just for the committee members, not the advisor or the administrators, because they will have them embedded in the form itself. Now, I do know we sometimes have issues with people being able to view those documents. Be sure, if you're having any problems with blank documents or, well, primarily just blank documents, be sure to clear your history and your cache, which I think are basically the same thing, and then try again or try a different browser. Chrome usually works best, but Safari and maybe Firefox, I don't know all of them, Microsoft. So try another browser. If none of those tactics work, let me know, and David in IT and I will help you sort things out. Another thing I wanted to point out is, although you have these first two links to access the documents to review, do not ignore this last link. That's the form. So after you have reviewed the documents, you still need to go to the last link for the form and to review it and approve it. And again, this is for the committee members that are reviewing. The advisor and administrators will have all of this in the form itself. They won't get this email. So just wanted everyone to be aware of that. So the submission guide goes through each document or each form you will come across, not come across, but will interact with in the process, thesis and dissertation. So become familiar with that whenever you can. We also provide a checklist. This again is in thesis and dissertation. Provides blanks for dates that are deadlines or completion dates. It can be very helpful in keeping on track. There's a page for proposal and a page for final. And you can print those out and use them as you need. And for those visual people, I'm sort of one of those, there is a workflow that gives you an overview of how the process works. And again, there's a page for proposal and a page for final. And finally, I have a uploaded, what is that, a YouTube video of my last presentation. I will update this with this presentation, and probably will be helpful to have since that was still pretty new at that point. Okay. When you're beginning the thesis process or dissertation process, and you've been granted candidacy, you're going to start by creating a committee. And you select the hyperlink for that. If you haven't already created a committee, you're always going to select new and then put your CWID, that's your campus-wide ID, and it should populate everything except for your degree. And these should all be available. Let's do that. And you see these tabs, this is where you can go back and forth if you need to, okay? Mm-hmm. And here, I do want to make a clarification because this has come up on occasion. Your thesis title or dissertation title is not ironclad. If you put a title on there and it changes by the time you have your final, there is no problem. You don't have to resubmit any forms, okay? So just know we understand things can sometimes change during your study and during the drafting of your document, and it may affect how you want to phrase your title. By the time you're defending your final, though, it should be set. Okay. The research compliance page is really more for a reminder. Hey, if you have a study that involves any of this, you're going to have to get that approval, that research committee approval. You may have answered yes on some of these that later you realize should have been no. That's okay. You don't have to go back and resubmit this. But if you answer yes to any of the questions, that means yes, your study does meet one of those requirements, and your advisor and you will need to work together to submit a research compliance approval letter. It's an application that your advisor will submit and will receive an approval letter generally, and will then provide you with a copy. That research compliance approval letter must be submitted with your proposal. Okay, and it's not the same as stamping that application letter. It is application. It is a true letter from the research committee chair and signed by them. Okay, and then clicking agree, you click next. Here, this is where we are still having issues with thesis forms. So again, thank you, Julie, for always keeping me aware of when things need to be corrected. But anybody else, if you don't see a name on here, let me know. We can add it. But you'll go through, find your advisor's name, click it. That email should match. So always check to make sure the email matches the name you've selected. Okay? So let's say it's that person. And then each of your committee members, and you can add more. And then you will have the department head. You may or may not be sure who the department head is. It's been kind of in flux, I know, for some departments. So please be sure and call your department and find out who is serving and whether they're interim or they're the permanent. Okay? And again, just make sure those names match the emails. Once it's completed, you will click submit. Now, let me switch over real quickly to dissertation, which are just a little different from thesis. In a dissertation committee form, you must have an out-of-department member. So you're going to have at least one person here. You have your advisor, another person from your department, and then one person that's out of department. That means someone who, it could be someone who's non-university. If it is not at our university, please be sure and select yes. If not, select no and put that person's name in here. As always, check that the email is correct, and then you will complete it. But that is required for dissertation, not thesis. However, if your thesis has an out of department committee member or even a non-university committee member, you can put that as one of the committee member lines. Let me see, we may need to fix this though. Let me see what we have, because I know we were fixing it so it didn't require that. Okay, so if you have someone out of department, when you click yes, you'll do that. Okay, so it was fixed. Thank you, David. So once your committee form is submitted, you don't get any response from us until it's received by the graduate school. And it goes through the routing of first your advisor, then your committee members, then the department head, then graduate school. Once the graduate school receives it and it's approved by the dean of the graduate school, just a moment, please. And she has approved it, then you will get an email and a copy of that approved form, and your advisor will get a copy. Then I'm alerted, copied on those emails, and I add it to Banner, and then your DegreeWorks will be updated soon after that. Any questions so far with our first form? Okay. So you have completed your committee, you know what you're going to work on, and your advisor and you say, hey, you're ready. Again, this is for thesis. You're ready to submit your proposal. With dissertation, you'll have a defense for your proposal before your committee, and that is a scheduled form. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. For dissertations, you will have under number 2 a schedule form for the proposal defense. When you select that, now this is just for dissertation. First of all, note you have to be a candidate, complete a proposal, and have an approved committee, okay, and be enrolled in 718. You input your CWID, and it should populate pretty much except for location. If it's a Zoom, please put Zoom. If it's in an actual office where everybody's going to meet, or a classroom, please put that in. The day, time, and the title of your dissertation. Again, that may change, but give your current title. And then you should have, your committee should populate. If not, you can always select, but it should populate based on your committee form. Okay, and for the thesis, since you don't have to do the defense for your thesis proposal is determined by your department. So we don't manage and oversee that, but we do for dissertations. So when you're ready to submit proposal, you'll go to number 3, scroll down, or you may want to read this. It'd probably be a really good idea if you read through the text and then come down to the proposal submission form. This tells you certain requirements you should meet before you submit. Okay, like your CITI training has been completed, if you formatted according to our template and guide, etc. Again, put your CWID in, it populates for most things, except maybe degree. I can't remember if the degree does or not, but if not, everything has a drop down. And here, we require that you put the style guide you follow. So if it's American Chemical Society, Chemistry Society, or Chemistry Society, or IEE for engineering, please put that in. If there's a certain version or edition, please put that in as well. If I don't have access to it, I will ask you for a web page or a URL, that is, a link, so I can at least check some of it. Here, you will upload your documents. You see you have to upload your thesis, and we ask that it be in Word unless you're using the LaTeX electronic version, and then the training records, and if it's required, the IRB, and an authenticate report. This is basically the same for dissertation. The difference would be you're more than likely going to have an IRB, but it's not required because some do not. And then you're going to be looking at approvals, which is all of your committee names, advisor, and your committee names under here would populate based on your committee form. In this case, though, at the submission stage, you're going to be required to have the department head and college dean approval before it comes to graduate school. So once you hit submit, just a moment, please. You'll get a response saying you have submitted successfully. Again, you will not hear from us until that routes through all the approvals and I receive it in the graduate school. Then I review what you have submitted, send you a confirmation email from TDS, and it says you've completed everything, you've submitted everything that's required, you're good to go, we'll begin our review. Or you may have missed a document, or you may have uploaded the wrong document, or you may have a high authenticate report that needs needs to be addressed. But you will hear from TDS once we receive it. At that point, for proposals, it's reviewed once, and then a checklist is completed, and that is sent to you with an email from TDS again. And a proposal approval form, this form, once it's approved by the dean, a copy of that will be attached as well. All right. Any questions?
I have one question, Karen. The authenticate report, is it due twice, one for the defense and then for the final proposal?
It is for the first time is with the submission of the proposal, and then the second time, yes, with the final.
Okay,
correct.
Thank you.
So once you have received proposal approval, keep in mind you cannot have final approval or defend a final document in the same semester you've received proposal approval. So after you have received proposal approval, the next semester you're able to defend and submit your final.
Now you'll need to repeat that. That's a little, that's very important. And we kind of
very
mixed
important.
up faculty and students. So say that again.
I will. When you submit your proposal, you're going to get approval for that semester if you meet the deadline. So the deadline, let's say, is in the fall, November 28th. As long as you submit your proposal by November 28th and you get approved, then you have fall, let's say 2022 approval. However, you cannot then defend your final that same semester. You have to wait till spring 2023 to defend and submit that final.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So you've gotten your proposal approved, and you have completed your final document. Now you'll be defending your final document. For thesis, we require a notification form, and it just helps us keep up with who's planning on graduating or finishing that semester. And it needs to be submitted at least 7 days prior to the defense date. I'm going to take a moment now to just put this in here too. Any submission any form you submit, you need to allow enough time for it to go through the approval process. So keep in mind that at the very least, allow 5 days for it to get to each member and give them a chance to look at the form and any documents at the very least. If it's a proposal, you may even want to send your committee members the document prior to the form being submitted, just so they have more time than 2 or 3 days to look at it. So back to thesis, the notification form is fairly simple. A lot of this is dependent on how the department decides to handle defenses, because it's different than, it's less formalized than the dissertation. Again, this is a notification only. We just need to know so we can keep aware of who is planning on graduating, really. For dissertation, let's go to them, and that's under number 4 for both. They have a schedule form for the final defense. These are the requirements before you defend. You have to have a proposal approval a minimum of one semester prior to defending your final dissertation, and enrolled in 718 and have a complete dissertation. And you complete this just as you did the schedule form for the proposal. Let me back up just a little bit. On the dissertation proposal form, I'm going to go back here and show you, I forgot to mention this. On the proposal schedule form for dissertations, you are required to upload your proposal. We, in the graduate school, secure a graduate representative to attend all proposal defenses, and we need the proposal for them. So I'm sorry I forgot to include that information. Thesis students, again, don't have to worry about the proposal defense. Once you have defended and it's been a successful defense, you're ready to submit your final, which is under item 5. And there's the thesis submission form for final. You put your campus-wide ID, you upload your thesis, and your authenticate report. That's all you have to do for thesis. And of course, anything with a red asterisk is a required response. So you have to tell us, I don't know that we have to have software version. I don't know why that's required. We'll work on that, but we definitely need to know the style and the date of your defense. Looks like I need to work on this one. I see now some of this is not required. I'm glad I'm going through this with you all. So once you complete this page, you'll look at the approvals again. This should populate based on your thesis committee form with all the people in your in your committee, and then you'll add the department head and the dean. Same situation, has to go through all those approvals before it comes to graduate school. Once I receive it in thesis and dissertation, TDS, I send an email letting you know I've received it, it's complete, or I've received it and I still need such and such. So you'll hear something once we receive it. Once it's approved, well, actually, let me back it up again. Once we review it, we send you a review checklist. This will continue. We'll ask you to send us the revised document, final only. We'll ask you to send the revised document to us for a second review or third review, sometimes fourth review even. We will work as long and as hard as you do to get this complete and ready for finalizing. But everything should be final and uploaded. We strive to have this all done the week before graduation. So you don't have to have everything final by the deadline for submitting it. That's just the deadline for getting it to us so we can start our review in time to have you cleared for graduation. All right. Is there anything else? I think I'm about through all I need to go over. All right, listen, I am more than happy to meet with anybody, to one-on-one, Zoom, whatever, to go over the process of the submission or the formatting. I can help with formatting, some style I can help with. I'm always available, so please reach out, call, email, and we'll work out a time and place to get together and get you out of here as quickly as you can. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week and take care.
And thank you, Karen, for all you do for us.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.